Ladies and gentlemen, the wait is over. I've had so many people reach out to me about the 25 plus Chevy and GMC HDs, specifically with the Duramax diesel. Now, you guys know I have this 2024. When Banks unveiled their cold air intake for this truck, I was a little skeptical because I'm not a fan of cold air intakes. I've done them in the past and I never noticed any difference. But on this truck, it's an absolute must-have first upgrade. Now, if you're not familiar, GM did not refresh this truck for 2025. It actually got refreshed for the 2024 model year, right? So they got a new powertrain. Also, they did some updates with the turbo, a few other things, obviously internally, like with the combustion. But for 25, they made more changes. Not for the better, but for the worse. So if you don't know, my truck's gonna look a little bit different, but for the CCV, mine is, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. It's like right under this boost tube here. It's right there. I haven't upgraded CCV on my truck, so maybe I shouldn't show you mine. So right in here, let's see if I can find that bad boy. Yep, it's right. Well, here's part of it. Oh, here it is. It's back there somewhere. Let me pull that out for you guys and I'll show it to you. If you have a 2024 truck, you're in luck because this is what your CCV looks like. If you don't know what this is crankcase ventilation. This system is prone to fail. I need to ask Banks if they ever plan on doing an upgrade for this because I went with another company because there's nothing available from them. But these are prone to fail. And then if you don't know, this is supposed to help maintain oil quality, they say. They also say it's supposed to help with harmful gases in the crankcase. But the truth is, this is supposed to lower emissions. So that's why these trucks have these systems. And for whatever reason, GM decided it needed a sensor. So yes, now you have to deal with more issues with that system because they added a sensor onto it, which is why Banks took longer to give you guys a cold air intake for your 25 and 26 model year Duramax L5Ps. This is your factory intake system. This system was not designed to give you the best performance. And here's why. Manufacturers aren't allowed to give you the best. Well, they are allowed, but they kind of aren't allowed because of EPA. But the other part of it is the manufacturers always leave a little bit of meat on the bone so that when they do the next iteration of the Duramax, they can find ways to give you better performance. Now, the first thing you have to notice with this intake system is right here. You see how thin this box is? Very thin. What do you think happens over time with heat? Also, look at this. All these silencers. Look at all this. This is going to create so much turbulence in your intake system. And it's supposed to because it's not about giving you the absolute best performance. And that's where that intake system comes in. Let's go ahead and quickly go over a few things online. I want you guys to understand something. I'm not trying to sell you an intake system. I'm just showing you guys from my experience what I have learned from having this. I have on this truck the boost tubes as you saw earlier. You can see the red over there. But also I have the turbo inlet. So with not having tested this cold air intake by itself, it's very possible that all my upgrades that I've done by Banks has helped make this thing probably the crown jewel of it all because adding the boost tubes and inlet did not increase my fuel economy. This thing did. Now, the main reason why I love Banks cold air intake is because of this. None of the competitors have this. This is a secret weapon to giving you actually true performance gains. I've already tested this cold air intake. I've already shown you guys the performance gains I've gotten. Now, the problem with these manufacturers is they don't want us to modify these trucks. They don't want us even to tune them because they lock up the ECM. So in order for Banks to get around this mass airflow sensor, they created this controller because they don't want to just give you something that looks nice under the hood. They actually want you to have true performance gains. So you are increasing the airflow into the engine, which is obviously going to, in return, give you better fuel economy, but also you're going to see a noticeable gain in your performance too, especially if you're towing a trailer. So Banks pretty much created this guy here in order for it to trick the system in thinking that it's still getting the same airflow, even though it's not. And other aftermarket cold air intake systems have to maintain the same size as this in order to not trigger that check engine light. Now, they might look bigger, but internally they're probably going to have the same size diameter as this factory system, simply because you cannot increase airflow before the mass airflow sensor. Now, with that being said, you will get a sound increase because they are removing these silencers, things like that. But as far as cold air intakes go, Banks is the #1 on the market because you're going to get that, plus you're going to get the performance gain, and you're going to get the fuel economy gain. Now, I've already done testing on mine. You guys can go back. Maybe I'll put a video at the end of this one. I've already proven that this cold air intake will, in fact, increase fuel economy, okay? Now, on their website, they do talk about this patented control module that they have here. So it says here, the ECM and the 25-26 Duramax monitors air mass and pressure so closely that any deviation from stock results in a check engine light. New for the 2025, this ultra stringent ECM oversight even monitors variations in crankcase ventilation pressure as another trigger for trouble code. So as I said, because of the new sensor for the CCV system, that's now monitoring airflow, which again can trigger a check engine light. To counteract this change, in addition to our patented Banks air mass control module, which corrects for the increase in mass airflow into the engine, Banks electrical engineers have developed the exclusive crankcase ventilation control module, which installs in line with the PCV circuit. This proprietary and patented module processes and recalibrates crankcase pressure signals and allows our engineers to design past both these electronic limitations. So here's what I'll tell you. I think that most guys love the performance that the factory Duramax diesel gives, but there's nothing wrong in fixing the manufacturer's shortcomings. They don't have the means to make us the best possible truck in the segment. They just don't, because the truck will cost $150,000. You know, we do know that there's other intake systems available for like the 6.2 liter. They have a cold air intake system for that truck and for the Yukon. However, the factory box is good enough because when you're mass producing a product, you have to cut costs where you can. And that's where this Banks Ram Air comes in. I think that for the money, it is worth the extra cost to have this in your truck. As I've said in the past, this thing not only gives you the sound, but it does give you the benefits of performance and fuel economy. Let's go for a quick drive. Now, this gave you some perspective. As I've said, this is a 2024 GMC CR 2500. It's the AT4X. So I do have a lift from the factory, but I added another lift on this truck. So basically my truck is 4 inches taller than a factory GMC's or even Chevy HD truck, okay? Now with that, I have 38 by 13.5 inch tall tires, and my truck does have weight loss program. Now, here's what I'll tell you. Before I did all my upgrades for weight loss, my truck did show its best fuel economy at 19.7. Also for my 50 mile, it showed 26.3. Those two are with my cold air intake before I did weight loss. Now, on my 25, with my weight loss, it got to 29.5. So with just a cold air intake, before it got to 29.5, it got up to like 27 or 28 with just a cold air intake, the boost tubes, and the inlet. Now I do have the Derringer. You guys see I do have the iDash Pro. One thing I love about this cold air intake, and I noticed this when I got it last year, it dropped my boost down considerably. Now my truck has a tune on it now. It has a 125 horsepower tune, so they do increase boost. Now if I give it wide open throttle, it got up to 24 psi, right? So when it's just cruising along like right now, it normally sits around like 1 to 3 psi. So I'm about to make a turn here really quickly so you guys will see. Let me just show you. I've been driving probably for like 35 minutes now, just because I had to run some errands real quickly.
and I didn't turn off the truck yet, so it's saying I've gone 21 miles in 35 minutes, okay? I'm getting 17.6 mpg. Now, I know that some people will say that this is not accurate because it's the computer, it lies, whatever. But I've already shown you guys in testing that if you're doing a consistent drive, not a lot of stop and go, this is pretty accurate. And if you want, just take it off 1 mpg if you feel like it's not the right number. Even still, with 38 by 13.5 4-inch lift on this truck with 125 horsepower tune, so it's not a tune for fuel economy, it's a horsepower tune, it's not eco. I'm getting 17.6 with this truck, and a lot of it has to do with the cold air intake too. I'm telling you guys, this is truly a good upgrade to get. And one thing I like about this is on Bank's website, it discusses that this cold air intake allows the turbo, basically the turbine wheel, to run at 3,000 RPM slower. So it's going to help prolong the life of the turbocharger. So fuel economy, I've already proven that. Performance wise, I've proven that as well. But the biggest thing is it's going to help your equipment to last a little bit longer, simply because the extra air is allowing that RPM to come on a lot slower. Because again, it makes sense. More air means better performance. So why would the turbocharger have to work harder if the engine's pulling in more air? So I think that this is a good upgrade to have. I have a promo code down below. As I've said in the past, I'm not pushing this stuff because I get paid for it. I'm not getting paid by Banks to do this video. You know, now if you buy any Banks products, I do get a small commission from them, but apart from that, that's if you decide that this is something you want to add to your truck. So yes, last thing I'll say is this. I know it's coming, so let's go ahead and talk about it. Will this void your factory warranty? Answer is no. No aftermarket upgrade you do can void your warranty. In other words, if I decide to do a Cummins swap on this truck, let's just say my Duramax blew up and I decide, you know what, I want a Cummins. I could retrofit a Cummins in this truck, and guess what? Everything else outside of that Cummins in my transmission, and my drive axles too, by the way, would be covered. So if my radio goes out, if my mirrors stop working, by the way, both of these mirrors have been replaced under warranty, all that stuff is still covered. So that's why I tell people all the time, when you're looking to do upgrades, just know your rights, because you have rights as a consumer. It's called the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act. I have taken this truck in already with the weight loss program that I've done on this truck. So you guys know I've taken off a lot of stuff on this truck, if you don't know what that is. And so some people would say that, well, you're not going to get any warranty work done. I got these active grill shutters done under that factory warranty. But you have to understand something. If these trucks have known issues, they're more than likely going to get replaced regardless, because the manufacturer's not asking questions. They know that the oil coolers fail on these trucks, right? So they're not going to keep me from getting that repair done when they know that it's a known issue. They would have to prove that any upgrade that I've done to this truck caused that issue, and that would be really hard to do when you have a bunch of failures. But I hope this video was helpful. As I said, a little bit windy out here, so I don't want to let this video go too long. Be sure to check out my next video I do. I'm planning on taking out my controller. I want to see if it throws a check engine light, because I have all the stuff I need to clear it, so I'm not really concerned by it. But yeah, I'm going to take this guy off right here, and we're just going to plug right into my mass airflow sensor to see if it throws a check engine light, and see if the truck rides like crap. I mean, if the truck rides like trash, we'll know. And it should prove a point to you guys just how good this cold air intake is with that controller. And now that they have the extra unit for the crankcase ventilation, you won't have any issues with check engine light. I got this done at 19,000 miles with the cold air intake, and I have like 34,000 miles on the truck. So no check engine light, nothing has ever happened with my truck drivability wise. Even before my tune, nothing has happened. I highly recommend it. See you guys next video.